Okay, moving on to the second half of Module 2, Session 2.2. So again, if you're in the ebook, we would be working through, find it here. So in that first video, I worked through this section right here, working with styles. We ended with working with styles. So now we're moving on to Session 2.2, working with MLA formatting and guidelines. So again, if you have the ebook, you would work through this or listen to my video, however you want to do that. But to begin with, we're going to open up the 2-2 file here. And we need to save this file as take off the -2 and put in _Hamilton. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is this whole section is really talking about how you would format your document using MLA style. Of course, when you're working here with papers at LTC, you should use whatever style your instructor tells you to do in Written Com or any other class. And so this particular paper, we're formatting it to MLA style, but you would know what to do based on what your instructor told you. So the first thing we're going to do is select everything. So the keyboard shortcut for select all is Command or Control A. Control A will select your entire document for you. And we're going to change the line spacing to be 2.0. Now remember, with line spacing, every time you have hit the return key, it starts a new paragraph, and the after paragraph spacing is set to 8 point, and we don't want any after paragraph spacing. You can kind of notice between the paragraphs you have a little extra space here. So we're going to come back up to this line spacing and choose remove after paragraph spacing, so you could see that that spacing between the paragraphs isn't so pronounced. We're also going to change the font to 12 point. Oops, well, yeah, either way works. And then you can deselect the text. Okay, the one thing I do want to mention, I think it's important that you do note this. It's important that you understand this. So if you are using the ebook, just note the indenting a paragraph section. I know that all of you know how to indent a paragraph. Most of us probably do it by hitting the tab key. But you also have what's called a hanging indent. You have a first line indent, left indent, right indent. And if this picture would load here, which mine is not, you would be able to see the different types of indents. If you have a textbook, if you've rented a textbook, you have a paper copy, it's on page 2-30 where you can see what the indents would look like. But I'll show you right here in Word. So it's important that you have your ruler turned on so you can see this. But if I click or if I move my mouse, I'm not clicking, I'm just hovering my mouse over this top triangle here. Notice how first line indent is the screen tip there. If I hover my mouse over the triangle on the bottom that's pointing up, that's left indent. If I hover my mouse over that little bar underneath the left indent, oops, sorry, you know what, hold on one second. First line indent, this triangle here is the, I know I can't get it to come up right now, but it would be the hanging indent, but I'll show you instead, okay? If my cursor is just clicked anywhere in a paragraph, I can grab this first line indent and drag over, and that's going to basically tab for me. I don't want a first line indent, so I'm going to drag that back. I could do what's called a hanging indent instead. Why is this being a pest? It's not working for me. The hanging indent should, funny thing, I just did this in class today. Oh, see, now I can see hanging indent come up. If I can get it to, there we go. Now it came over. Just wasn't cooperating. Notice the hanging indent. Where do you see this typically? You see this in bibliographies where you have the first line flush left and everything underneath that comes over. So clearly you have to get that cursor right in the right spot. And then if I use the bottom where it says left indent, it's going to bring everything over. So just not a first line indent or a hanging indent, everything is indented. Same thing over here, this triangle is a right indent, so I can click and drag. And notice it's only the paragraph that I'm currently in. Or if I selected multiple pages, it would, or multiple paragraphs, it would apply to whatever I'm selecting. So just so you understand the different indents and what these things mean, sometimes you can inherit documents from people and everything's kind of messed up, and to know what these are and how you can fix things is kind of helpful. So the first thing we're going to do is apply a first line indent to each paragraph. Now we could click in front of the A in Alexander and just hit the tab key, and that would work as well. But in order to show you another feature here, I'm actually going to drag this first line indent over, and then I want to apply that same formatting to all my paragraphs. So I could click here and I could use the repeat formatting button, and that'll do the same thing. Now I just want to warn you, I did have somebody in class this morning who tried to turn in one of the Module 2 assignments by doing the first line indent, and she didn't do it this way. And Cengage marked it wrong because she went into layout and into paragraph and did the first line indent this way. So most people wouldn't even know that now, but I know everybody has different levels of experience in Word. And so she did it by the way she knew it versus doing it with how the book told her to do it. And that caused it to be marked wrong. For my sanity, I would love to not have to go back in and give you points. So if it would work for you to do it how the book tells you to, that would really help me. But I also understand that sometimes it's just going to mark things wrong that you know you did right. And some of you have already reached out to me to tell me that, and I've given you the points back. So basically I'm just kind of going through here and adding the first line indent to all the paragraphs. I don't need to keep going, but you get the point there. And using the repeat formatting option. Okay, the next thing we want to do is insert some page numbers here. So we want to go into the header and footer. You can go to the Insert tab to do this, and then we go to the page number option. We're going to choose top of page and plain number 3. It's going to insert a page number here. Now it's showing 3 because I'm on page 3 currently. If I scroll all the way up to the top, it'll show 1 where I'm on page 1. That's the beauty of putting in the page number, like going to insert and page number. If I would, and I'll just do that here for a second, if I would delete that and type in the number 1, notice every page shows 1. So I can't type in the page numbers myself if I'm putting it in the header. And it's important that you know how to insert a page number. So I'm going to go back and insert the page number again. This is in just a little different spot, but it's going to do the same thing. And I know that's a field and it's been inserted because it gives me that little gray background when I click there. I know it's an updated field. So I'm inserting the page number. I'm not typing it in myself. And then I can type in my last name. A lot of papers, MLA style, would have your name in the header as well. And I'm just going to select it here and change the font size to 12 so it matches the body of our document also. Okay, the next thing is oftentimes in different papers, whether it's a title page or the first page, you don't show a header on the first page. Now, anything I put in this header is going to show up on every page, but they have this little shortcut in Word. Under the headers and footer tools and design tab, I can tell it, I want a different first page header. So I'm going to click that checkbox. And it'll take a second, but just notice that my header just went away because this is my first page header. I want that to be different. But if I keep going, I can see that my second page is still there and so on. So it's treating it differently because I chose that first page to be different. It would do the same thing in the footer. If I put anything in the footer on any of the other pages, it will not put it in the footer on the first page. So that's how you can get that to be a little bit different. Okay, we can close out of the header and footer by clicking right here. Or, just so you know, anytime you want to go in your header or footer, you can double click in the header to get in the header, and I can double click in the body to go back into the body. So you don't always have to go to insert and go to header or footer. You can just double click in there, and now you're in your header and footer. And just like in many other things that we'll often work with, you get this extra menu tab that comes up when we're in the header and footer, and all these things would apply to the header and footer. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is show you how you can insert footnotes and citations into your Word document. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to scroll down towards the bottom of page 2, And if I'm at the bottom and I kind of just go up a little bit, we're looking for this line that says made him invaluable. I'm going to click right after the paragraph or the period. On my references tab, I'm going to choose insert footnote. Puts a 1 here, puts a footnote down here. And then I could type in my footnote, a digital archive of his letters maintained by the New York blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to type it all out. You get the point. That's how you can insert a footnote. The difference between a footnote and an endnote is a footnote puts it at the bottom of the page, whereas an endnote puts it at the bottom of the document. But it would still look like this. It would just be at the end of your document. So there's one footnote. Now if I want to add another footnote, I'm actually going to go to the top of page 2 here and insert a footnote. Where am I inserting the footnote? Send Hamilton to New York to be educated. Here we go, right after educated, after the period. So again, I'm going to choose insert footnote. Now notice to put in a 1 again, because it realized that this footnote that I just inserted is before the other footnote. So it changed the first one we put into the 2, and this one now to the 1. So now I can go ahead and type in this footnote. Of course I'm going to type the worst when you all are watching my video. Okay, second footnote. So again, if you're inserting footnotes, simple, easy, throw in a footnote there. Again, you can do an endnote, and if I did that, instead of these appearing at the end of the page, it would put it all the way at the end of my document. Not on a separate page, it would just put it right here at the end of my document if I did an endnote. But what we're going to do is we're going to instead, oh, and one other thing I wanted to show you. When you do have footnotes, if I would double click on my footnote right here, it would jump to where it is in the page. Or if I double click on my footnote here, it'll jump to the bottom of where it is on the page. So double clicking on either down here or in the letter or in the paper itself would apply that footnote. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is show you how you can create citations. And notice that right now on my References tab, MLA style is selected. You could change that to be APA, but the chapter here is working with MLA in particular. So we're going to go down to page 3 here, and we're looking for as at least one historian has observed blah, 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 part with him, period. So after the word, so when you're doing a citation, it's a little different. You go after the word before the period. So I'm going to put my cursor right there. And on my References tab, I'm going to choose Insert Citation and choose Add New Source. My type of source is going to be book. My author, sorry, you're going to have to bear with me for a second. I'll show you how this can be helpful to you in the end. Oops, Natalia Cruz. Title. Granton Patriot. Sounds interesting, huh? 2014, city is New York, and the medium is print. Open the publisher. Publisher is Brookstone. Nicole Scott. Okay, so there's our citation. Click OK. And it puts the citation in here for us. Now we can go in and we can adjust that by going, clicking on here, clicking on the drop down arrow and choosing Edit Citation. This gives me some options here, like I can put in the actual page number. In this case, the page number should be 37. And if it's showing things that you don't want it to show, like it's showing the year and the title and so on, you can tell it to suppress that. In this case, we at least want the author, and now we're going to insert the page number. So now we have Cruz 37 there. Okay, now we're going to insert another one. So we're going to scroll down to the second to left paragraph on this page here, and we're going to click after the word powers and before the period again. And again, we're going to go to Insert Citation. Notice here's the one we just typed in, but we're going to add one more new one. And this time it's going to be a journal article. And it's not showing all the fields I need it to, so I'm going to click on Show All Biography Fields. The author is Jeffrey Olin. Oops, if I can spell Jeffrey correctly. The title. Journal name. Scroll down to get to the last few here. Volume is 30, issue is 5, medium is web. Okay, and go ahead and click OK again. And we have our Olin citation here, and again, they're going to have us add the page number, which in this case is going to be 142. Click OK. And notice we have the Olin 142. Now again, we can always suppress things. So they're actually telling us to suppress the author and the title, which the title didn't show up, but I'll click OK. That seems odd to me that they would allow you to just have a page number there, but whatever. At least you can see how the suppress option works there with that. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is scroll down to the last sentence here in the document and put in one more citation, but lucky for us, this one we already have. So we can go to Insert Citation and choose from the citations we've already typed in, which in this case we're going to choose the Jeffrey Olin citation. And it's not going to have us put in a specific page number because it was more than one page, so we're just going to leave it with what it is right now. Okay, next we're going to do is we're going to insert our works cited or our bibliography at the end of the page. So I'm just going to get past this period. I'm going to put in a page break. You can do this multiple ways. The keyboard shortcut for a page break is Control-Enter. So if I go in and I turn on my paragraph markers here, you can see it says page break. You can come back and delete that again. I hit Control-Enter to put in that page break. Same thing as going up to the Layout tab, going to Breaks and choosing Page. Same thing as going to the Insert tab and choosing Page Break. All three of them are the same. You can even see, well, it says Control Return is the keyboard shortcut. So just so you know, it's good to know especially if you use keyboard shortcuts a lot, it's kind of a helpful keyboard shortcut. Okay, we're going to go to the References tab right here under Bibliography. We're going to look at our bibliography options. We can choose bibliography, references, or works cited. In this case, we're going to choose works cited. You can see it plops it in there for us, which is nice. Notice the gray box that shows up when I hover over it. That just tells me it was something that was inserted into the document. So if anything would change or I'd have to do anything, I don't typically do it from within here. I would go and change it elsewhere. So for instance, we realized that we spelled something wrong in here. And Natalia Cruz is not spelled correctly. So I'm going to fix that. But to do that, I'm going to go, you can do this a couple different ways. I'm going to go up to Cruz here, click on it, and then go to Edit Source. And now I'm going to come into here and I'm going to type in Cruz, K-R-U-S-E instead. Click OK. It's going to say the source exists in your master list and current document. Do you want to update it? We're going to say yes. So that means it's going to update it in my list right here, and it's going to update it right here. But notice if I go down to my works cited, it's not updated here. So I'd have to click on this and then notice Update Citations and Bibliography. If I click on that, then it updated my last name, the last name there. So I should have mentioned even before I get to that, how nicely it put this in here for us. So as you're watching me painstakingly type in all those citations, it's a pain to type that in, but it's easier than figuring all this out. You know, this is a book, so the book title needs to be in italics, and then you have a period after the title and you type in the publisher, and then you have a comma and you type in the year, and so on. The journal is different. That's in quotes. It's not in italic, but the journal name is in italic. Trying to remember all this stuff is kind of ridiculous. So the nice thing about inserting your citations like we did is Word spits out what it's supposed to look like in the end. So the only thing is that the rest of this isn't right. So the actual words, works cited, should be a normal style. It should be normal. It shouldn't be this heading 1 style. So we're going to come up here and choose normal. But then we need it centered. And what else do we need? Oh, we should select everything here and make this double spaced and remove the space after. And 12 points, since the rest of our document is 12 point. So gets most of it right for us as far as how the actual citation should appear. Then you just have to change some of the spacing. But that's this second half of the book. It's inserting your footnotes, inserting the works cited stuff, or inserting the actual sources, and then producing your works cited page. So one last thing I just want to go over is the review assignment. One more time to make sure you understand now that you've worked through or watched the video on the module. Oh, there's my picture. See, there's the picture in the book. The assignments for this would be in Learning Plan 2, and you can do these in whatever order. My students, when I have them in class, I have recommended they actually do the review problem right away, because the review problem is really what we just did. You go into your Mind tab, go to the table of contents, and go down to practice and review assignments, and you'll see they're going to have you open this file, rename it, and it's going to have you go through the comments and reply to the comments and delete comments, and so on. And that's going to have you put in a page number, and so on. So this is very much like what I just went through in the module. So sometimes it's easier to work through the review problem now because it's all fresh in your mind. And this is different than doing the Mind Tap exercises where you're opening up the SAM training and then you're having to, click on the start button and then do the different tasks. So, it's different, but whatever order you want to do them, and it doesn't matter to me, just everything for Module 2 is due next week, Tuesday evening, which would be the 15th at midnight, again, or 11:59 technically. So I'm not going to wait. Oh, there, now it comes up. So again, when you're doing the SAM training, you have your task list here. You're going through all the tasks and doing what it's asking you to do. Again, the more you follow the way it told you to do it in the module, the better chance you're going to have to get it right. And that's the unfortunate piece of using something like this. It gives you a lot of opportunity to practice. But if you don't do it how they're asking you to do it, it can sometimes be marked wrong. So if you try this, copy the text Technology Connects from the first body paragraph and paste it into the blank paragraph at the end of the document. If you don't know how to do that, or you do it once and you get it wrong, well then click Observe and let them show you how they want you to do it. And then you can go and do it yourself. And that's the whole point of this, is to do the Observe, the Practice, and Apply. So once you're hitting Apply, at that point, you're doing Apply because you know what you're doing. If you don't know how to do it, then do Observe. And then if you're still not exactly sure, then try Practice and then apply it. Really, for these SAM trainings, there shouldn't be any points lost because of that. But I understand sometimes it can be a pain. And just a reminder again that it will not count your points until you hit submit. If you're not quite done, don't hit submit, hit the close button. And then it'll remember where you were when you come back to do your, to complete. And it even tells you here, you need to hit submit, but I'm not ready to do that, so I'm not going to do that. Okay, so there you have it, Learning Plan 2. Hopefully this video is helpful to you. Again, it doesn't matter what order you do this work in, but you do need to have it all done by next Tuesday evening, September 15th. I've been trying to apply as much grace as possible here in the beginning to give you guys as many chances to do things over again. But the further we move into the modules, I would expect that you're getting used to it now. You're getting your time management down and you're getting your work completed on time. But just reach out to me if you have any questions.